Picture this. Your mother has severe Alzheimer's. Every night you pray for a miracle. There are hundreds, thousands of medical researchers out there working on a cure, but you fear that their help will come too late. Someone out there must have made a breakthrough, and you finally found one. A Renaissance man by the name of Rashad Richey has made a huge advancement. Finally, there's hope. He has performed a case study with incredible results. Perhaps your next study can include your mother. And one day, in the near future, she will return to you whole again. So you download his paper and you read every line. The patient within a month is driving again. She remembers things. A tear rolls down your cheek as you type out your email begging Richey to give your mother a chance. And well, you, there is no cure. In one of his cruelest jokes, Rashad Richey published this worthless paper in an equally worthless journal, giving Alzheimer patients and their families all across the country false hope that their loved ones will be the same people they once knew. And also that he could have his ego stroked by his nitwit buddies. Oh, Rashad, you're so smart. Oh, Rashad, you have so many degrees. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
All right, so here is the article. It was published in the International Journal of Science and Research. There really is no such journal. Well, it's a predatory journal. Basically, if you give them money, they'll print anything. They claim it's double-blind peer-reviewed. No freaking way. No self-respecting referee would have ever passed this for publication. At any rate, Reversing Alzheimer's Efficacy of Non-Invasive Quantum Therapies on Human Physiology by Ali Rashad Richey. And you'll notice it's from the Department of Physics at the Paris Graduate School. Specifically, the Innovative Knowledge Institute at the Paris Graduate School. That raises a question. Why is a Department of Physics doing this kind of research? And here is his email address at the university. The Paris Graduate School is only a technical school in Paris. It has no business getting involved in anything beyond an associate's degree.
Loco! Huh?
He goes on to claim that the prototype device used in the case study was invented by the research student. Okay, wait, he's a student now. But I thought he was the chair of the Department of Physics. Well, he claims to be both.
He's crazy, man.
I've covered this before, everybody. You cannot chair a department that is going to confer on you a degree. I mean, that's just ludicrous. And of course, this Department of Physics only has one member, Rashad Richey. It says, provisional patent status granted. No, there is no such thing. There is a provisional patent application that basically reserves your name in line for when you do get a patent. In case somebody applies for a patent before you're granted yours, they can go to the provisional patent and say, well, you submitted this provisional patent earlier than the other person. But other than establishing the time of your invention, it does nothing. There is no such thing as a provisional patent. I'm not going to bother with the abstract. And you'll notice MIT gets mentioned a lot. And he's clearly trying to bank on the MIT reputation here to bolster his own. This is something that shows up a lot here. The very first citation is not superscripted. And that tells me that he's using EndNote and not using it very well. If you don't know how to configure EndNote correctly, this can happen. And you'll see that it happens all throughout this article. Keep in mind, this supposedly got past a double-blind peer review, and yet there is this formatting structure error that shows up throughout the entire article. And the patient is given the title Respondent 0071. Look, I mean, there's only one person involved in this study, so why label her 0071? Okay, I have no idea. And according to this, She has Alzheimer's. She's 73 years old. She's an African-American female and living with high blood pressure and hyperglycemia. I kind of wonder if this isn't Rashad's own mother. And this is baloney here. After the respondent received the Alzheimer's diagnosis, she was asked to participate in a clinical trial that would have administered ATH-1017, an experimental drug designed to combat dementia. However, the respondent volunteered for the case study 4 days before being prepped for the experimental medication and saw such positive cognitive results within the 4 days that she was informed there would be no need to undergo the experimental ATH-1017 medication by medical staff. Even if this is true, and it's purely not, why would you need to put this in your article? This has no bearing on anything that's going on here. If you have a patient for a case study and they were going to do something else, but they instead decided to go with your experiment, there's no need to mention the other one. And if this is really true, it's not, but if it's really true, then Rashad Richey basically convinced somebody not to undergo treatment for Alzheimer's based on the results of this case study. So at this point, this is no longer harmless. But again, I don't think this ever happened.
This is like watching the British version of The Office. Like, it's funny, but awkward and sad at the same time. Yes.
Okay, so we go into the methods. And this is really good. Through a combination of non-invasive, non-pharmacological interventions involving quantum energetic elements such as sound frequency. Sound frequency is not quantized. Sound is not a quantum mechanical effect. It's purely classical. Sound only occurs through the bulk properties of matter. Sound frequency has nothing to do with light frequency. They're completely different animals. And it goes on, and photonic modalities, and documenting the impact on neuronic structure and processes concerning cognitive clarity and human physiology. Yeah, whatever. It goes on, the primary and only respondent of the case study was respondent 0071. So this is a case study involving a sample size of 1. That's right, a sample size of 1, published in a science and research journal. And so you can't do any statistics because there's only 1 in the sample. And by the way, here we go. Volume 13, fully refereed, open access, double-blind, peer-reviewed journal. Why would you need to put that in your byline if you're a real journal? You won't see that in like Nature or Physical Review letters. Before the respondent participated in interventions, the researcher analyzed other case studies, research, and data from several countries, including the United States, Canada, China, whatever, and select African nations, searching for historical, modern, and causal connections between sound, light, and vibration, and how cellular structures in human physiology are impacted. So the researcher studied really hard. Oh my God, he looked up a lot of research and stuff. And it goes on, this analysis was conducted as a review of the literature within which the researcher can contextualize the findings of this case study. So where is this literature review? What's the point of telling us that you have conducted this extensive literature review if you don't tell us what you found? Okay, so let's take a look here at the methodology. The respondent engaged in 4 days of therapy. Oh my God, there was only 4 days? Oh, Lordy. 4 days of 1 hour of 40 hertz sound frequency, tactile, and sine wave frequency during daytime sessions. Notice that there's no mention of the intensity levels. So if I'm trying to replicate this experiment, I have no way of doing so because I don't know what intensity to apply here. And by the way, 40 hertz sound frequency is very low and very dispersive. So I don't know if they trained this sound on the entire body or just the head. Who knows? 3 days of 30-minute cranium vibrational therapy during daytime sessions, which coincided with the 1 hour of 40 hertz sound frequency delivery. So I guess they massaged the head? What does it mean by vibrational therapy? I think it just means a massage, I suppose. I mean, did they pound a head with a hammer for whatever? I don't know. 1 day of light therapy using 40 hertz gamma light frequency through the eye orbitals during one daytime session. And this is written so sloppily that you cannot tell what's happening. But what he meant to say is that this is light, and it's probably cold laser. And they strobed it at 40 hertz. The light itself is not at 40 hertz. The gamma part is designed to replicate the gamma waves that are emitted by the brain. But notice that there's no action here. It just says 1 day of light therapy. So did they shine the light into the eye orbitals or what? And what intensity? So I looked it up. This strobing of the cold laser at 40 hertz is done. But again, without any intensity or any other explanations as to what they actually did, I can't replicate this experiment. 4 nights, roughly 6 to 8 hours a night, of the following frequencies for sleep assistance and enhanced effect. And it lists all these frequencies: 7.83 hertz, 4 hertz, 40 hertz, 5.83, 7.1. Like, why are you choosing these particular frequencies? Is there something special about them? It says 741 here, but how would that really be that much different than 7.83? It goes on to say all frequencies under 24 hertz were achieved through binaural frequency methodology. So basically, you play sound of two frequencies that are very close together in both ears. And the result, because of beat structure, which is typical physics, produces an effect that makes it sound like it's at very low frequency. And you can do this with a guitar. I mean, if you take and you pluck two strings that are very close in tone, you'll notice you'll hear the beat structure. There'll be like a wah, 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 and that's what that is. Oh, Jesus. Respondent was also encouraged to engage in earthing at least once a day. So at least once a day, the respondent was encouraged to walk barefoot. I am not joking. And you may be wondering, well, why is he putting that in there? Well, if you remember, he got this crazy energy medicine certification from the University of Central Florida. And earthing, I am sure, was one of those techniques that they talked about. The idea that walking barefoot helps you cognitively somehow. Okay.
That's more like, zany or goofy. Yeah.
So now he can claim that he used that energy certificate in his research. All right, here we go. The device used to deliver the variations of sound frequency, vibrational and photonic therapies, and photonic means light, was the prototype of the neurological brain entrainment device invented by Rashad Richey. Why not just say invented by the author? Who has been granted provisional patent status, because he's got to tell us again, right? For the medical device from the U.S. Patent and Trade Office. Gee, that sounds pretty important. If I'm going to replicate this experiment, I'm going to need something like that. However, there's a small problem. It's not described anywhere. There's no schematics. There's no nothing. And you think, well, he doesn't want anybody to steal it. He's claiming a patent. Without at least a schematic, we have no way of knowing what the hell was going on in this experiment.
I'm crazy. I'm the local one.